Alright, welcome back to Hilly Reads. You can call me Hilly. I am in, as you can see, my lovely, beautiful car, my 2004 Honda CR-V. Today, I wanted to go around to some little free libraries and kind of swap out some books I have on my shelf that I don't really need anymore. This is something I've done a few times where it's just kind of nice to just like drive around, walk around, um, see some new little free libraries, see what kind of stuff they have, and get rid of some stuff that I don't need to have anymore. I also saw Lexi on YouTube has done this before, and so that kind of inspired me to like do my own video for it because this is something I've done before. Um, so I brought some books that I'm okay with getting rid of. I'm gonna go through those first, and then I'll let you know about the little free libraries I hit. I'm probably not going to film at them because I already feel really weird like walking up so close to people's houses. I already feel anxious about that. So I'm probably not going to film there. I'm probably going to come back to the car and let you know if I swapped anything, what I saw, whatever. But I'll just go through the books I wanted to get rid of first. The first one I have is A Dark and Drowning Tide by Alison Saft. I'm so bummed about this one. Look at this. This cover's so beautiful. The thing about this book is the cover's beautiful. The story sounds interesting. Like, it sounds like an adventure. They're going to find magic. They're, like, on a ship. There's a murder mystery. It's sapphic. So it's sapphic. It sounded like a fun adventure. And the cover's cool. And unfortunately, in all three of those things, this book let me down completely. How can a cover let you down, you might ask? The thing is, these two characters' names are Sylvia and Lorelai. Which one do you think is Sylvia, and which one do you think is Lorelai? Incorrect. Doesn't this person look like a Sylvia, and this person looks like a Lorelai? Like, Lorelai's a more whimsical name, more light. Sylvia's, like, dark and moody. I'm thinking probably Sylvia Plath sort of thing. No, this person is Lorelai, this person's Sylvia. And I got that mixed up at the beginning, reading it, honestly, way too often. And that did hamper my experience a little bit. So that is my fault, honestly. For, like, assuming this person was Lorelai and this person was Sylvia. That's how a cover can let you down, apparently. But also let me down because that is, like, it sounded cool, but that is really what made me buy this book. Like, brand new at a Barnes & Noble, too. So I kind of wanted to keep it just because it's so pretty, but looking at it kind of bums me out that I bought it full price at Barnes & Noble. And the story, I don't think it does the romance very well. I don't think the adventure is very good. A lot of stuff just falls on their laps. The murder mystery is not as fun or as interesting as it could have been. Felt kind of, I don't know, by the numbers a little bit. And it ends really weird. The message at the end of it is all kinds of confusing. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's a good message to have. So I think I'm gonna get rid of this. I think someone else will probably like it better than that. Someone else could like this, absolutely, of course. So I think this will be a good one to put in the box. I think because it's so pretty, somebody's probably gonna want to take it. So my next one is A Botanist's Guide to Parties and Poison. My friend recommended this to me. Like, he said it was his favorite murder mystery, but he actually said that about the second book in this series. He liked the first one too. I think I am gonna read the second one based on what he said, but I don't need to keep this book. I think this was like probably about as 3-star as it gets for me. So I just don't need to keep it. It can go to somebody else who'll enjoy this more, so. And all these books that I have are in pretty good condition, too, so I think it'll be nice for somebody else to have them. Outlawed by Anna North. This is another one that's, oh man, it so let me down. I think it's just so close to being something, and just isn't. It just doesn't hit the mark for whatever reason. It's, I didn't really give a synopsis of the other ones, but The Botanist's Guide to Parties and Poisons is a murder mystery. Dark and Drowning Tide. I said it's an adventure. There's magic, whatever. Outlawed is there's a bunch of women in this who become cowboys, mostly because, like, women who can't give birth are, like, basically, like, they're, like, tied to the stake and burned as witches, basically, in this world. So I think there's a really good idea here of having this, like, band of mostly women be outlaws. I really want more cowboy things to work for me, so I was really excited by this. There's, like, a lot of their names are, like, references to other stuff, like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which is my favorite movie. I love that movie. but it just, their names are just references to it. It doesn't really do much with that, which is disappointing. Again, really good setup. I just don't think it, went anywhere. It didn't impact me as much as it could. I kind of don't even really super remember what happened because it just didn't have that oomph, and it didn't say as much as I wanted it to, because obviously this is about feminism, about like women being persecuted for like not fulfilling their only, biological whatever necessity or whatever. And just wasn't as good as I was hoping. So I think I'm gonna give this up. Yeah, and another one where the cover is pretty, so I think, it's colorful, it'll draw somebody in, I'm sure. This next one, this is the last book I have, and then I have a couple of, comic book volumes that I figured might as well throw in there too. Hong on the Range. I just recently read this by William F. Wu. This is a 3-star. Again, this is a quintessential 3-star. It's another cowboy one. This is set in a world where, it is the future, but they've kind of reverted back to Wild West attitudes and times, kind of. But people mostly have some sort of, robot parts to them. Most people do. Except our main character, Louis, is what they call a control natural. He does not. He gets kind of, he kind of gets roped into helping a gang with a bank robbery, and then the story continues from there, him trying to, kind of meet up with this gang, kind of outrun these bounty hunters who are after him. I didn't love really any of the characters except for Chuck, who is this, who's a cow, but also has robot parts to him. I think he's so funny. He's hilarious. But none of the other characters in this book did I really connect with, and I was hoping the end would kind of wow me. I think that could have bumped it up, but it didn't really. I didn't really understand the motivations of the main character a lot. I think this has 30 ratings on Goodreads or something. This is not a super popular book or anything. I really randomly bought it from a store, but I think somebody else could like this, and I think it, again, does have a cool cover, so I'm hoping somebody else will like that. Those are the only books I brought, and then I have just random comic book volumes. I have a couple other ones just in case, but there's a Guardians of the Galaxy, a Predator one. I don't care about Predator. I haven't really watched Predator. This I read and I just thought was fine, but somebody else will enjoy it. Somebody will see Guardians of the Galaxy and like that, I'm sure. And then a Green Hornet one, which unfortunately is a volume 2, but I don't have the volume 1, and I don't know why I have this. I've never cared about Green Hornet ever in my life. Maybe because Kevin Smith wrote it, I don't know. So I might throw some of those in one of them too if I'm finding a few things I like. So I'm gonna go and hit up a couple houses probably. That sounds crazy. And then I'll update you on how it's going. Wish me luck. Alright, so I parked in a spot. I went to, I think, about 5 different little libraries that were kind of in the same area. Just kind of walked around. It's too cold today to be doing this. My hands are freezing. Of course I didn't bring gloves. So I walked around about 5 different ones. What did I see in there? Some Nora Roberts books, which, is per the usual. I saw A Tale of Two Cities, which I thought was interesting. Lots of kids' books. Lots and lots of kids. 2 of the ones I ended up going to were, one was at a church, and one was at a playground, and those were all kids' books, so there was really nothing there for me. What else did I see? Surprised, I don't think I've seen a John Grisham yet. And I saw American Gods by Neil Gaiman, which would have been a good pick, but I do have that book. I haven't read it yet. And I saw a couple of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy books, which is cool. I have the big volume of all those too. I've read those before. I love those books. And I'll show you. I got 1 book so far. I switched out my botanist guide for it. It's another Neil Gaiman book. So Neil Gaiman sucks. Let's be real. But I'm getting his book from a little free library. He already made his money off this book, so I'm not really supporting him. This is the Graveyard book. I don't know if I've heard this one. Apparently, it's a reimagining of Rudyard Kipling's The Jungle Book. I don't know, but it's this character, Nobody Owens, who is a living boy who lives in a graveyard raised by a guardian who belongs neither to the mortal realm nor the realm of the dead. So I thought that was interesting. I like something kind of set in a graveyard. Sounds cool to me. Somebody's like after him. Somebody who, the man who murdered the infant Bod's family will not rest until he finds nobody owns and finishes the job he began many years ago. So someone's trying to kill him too. Sounds good to me. I actually haven't read a Neil Gaiman before. Like I said, I own American Gods and I own, is it The Ocean at the End of the Street? I really want to read that one too. That one got mentioned a lot in another book I read recently. I'll throw it up if I remember to do that. It's one I read like 2 books at the same time that were basically the same book, so I can never remember which one it is. But it mentioned that book a lot and made me intrigued by that. So yeah, that's the only book I've got so far. But it was fun walking around. Like I said, it's cold, but it was fun walking around. Okay, I've been to either 2 or 3 more since. I didn't pick a spot to park and walk around as much. I kind of drove up to a couple of them. I didn't find another book to get, but there were some interesting ones. I went to one was outside this house that looked like it was built into a hill. Like, it kind of looks Hobbit-holy. That was very cool. So it was cool to experience. That was a good one. There were a few arcs in that one. I almost got Son of Blood and Ruin from there. There was an arc for that. But I don't know, I read just a tiny bit of it. It wasn't really wowing me, and I went on Goodreads and it seemed kind of, nothing in the Goodreads made me think I was really gonna like it beyond like a 3-star, so I decided to leave it. There were some other good books in there though. There was the book Fairest. I think it's by Gail Carson Levine. I have that book. It was actually one of the ones I considered bringing along for this, but I think I'm gonna keep it because it is really nostalgic for me, and it's like a book I read growing up. So I think I'm gonna keep that one. But it was cool that that one was in there. What else? Yeah, there were a few arcs in there. The other one I went to was, there were a lot of like Bodice Ripper, Regency era sort of ones. There wasn't a Julia Quinn Bridgerton book in there, but there were like 2 books that had Julia Quinn quotes on the front. So those sort of vibes. All of those books kind of sound the same to me. What else was in there? Oh, I saw my first James Patterson. Crisscross by James Patterson. I was surprised. I was expecting more James Patterson too. I didn't get that. The only James Patterson books I read before are Maximum Ride. I'm rambling a little bit, but it was just cool to go to a couple of houses. I didn't get another book. I think I have a hockey game I have to go watch, so I think I might have to pick this up again tomorrow. I'm also getting a headache. That might partially be because I drank a bunch of, coffee. It's sugar. It's a latte from Dunkin' Donuts. It's sugar milk, but so I'm gonna go watch hockey. By the time that's done, it'll probably be dark, so I'll probably pick this up again tomorrow. I wanna try to get rid of all my books in this video. So, all right, I am home now. I elected not to film in my car, but I've wrapped it up. I got rid of all of the books I wanted to get rid of, as well as a few of those comic book collections. So ended up being really successful. I'll walk you through the other things that I got. So the first one, I was on a random walk and saw a little free library I hadn't seen before. I went over there, and this was in there, which is the short Second Life of Bree Tanner, which is a novella in Twilight that I have never read before. My history with Twilight is when I was in 5th grade. It was super, super big. I was obsessed with it. Loved Twilight then. And then I had a certain point where I really was in my I'm not like other girls phase, and so did not like Twilight anymore, was very anti-Twilight and anything like that. And then kind of when I was in college, I think was when there was like a big resurgence of people like loving Twilight again. My friend made me read Midnight Sun. I didn't really want to, but I read it and had a blast. I tore through that book. I think it was during the pandemic. And so now I'm back on the Twilight train. I watched the movies a ton in the past few years. So I figured I might as well read this. It's short, and I know my friend has like talked about this before, so I think probably there's something good in there. So this is a cool find for me. While we're on the vampire train, the next one I found was this, Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. I have really, really wanted to read this one. Everything that comes out by Isabel Kanye sounds super interesting to me. I've never read anything by her. I really want to read The Possession of Alba Diaz as well, but I found this one. It's a book of the month, which is fine by me. And this is about Nina and Nestor. As far as I understand, this kind of leans more romance than like vampires, but Nina was attacked by something. Nestor believes she is dead and is away from her for years. They come back together, and then I think they have to face vampires together is what it sounds like. It sounds really interesting. It's kind of set like in the border between Texas and Mexico, and so I think also like Nina especially is dealing with a bunch of white people, settlers as well, which I think is a really interesting setting. This cover is really pretty, I think, and I'm really excited to read this one. I want to read more vampire stuff, so excited for that. I think this is a really, really cool find. Next is on those I was like trying to go a little closer around me. I started venturing a little further south one day. I just kind of like picked a spot, parked, and walked around for a while. I found a few like really good ones around there, but the one I ended up taking from around there was Final Girls by Riley Sager. I've only read one Riley Sager book before, which is With a Vengeance, which I thought was fine. Nothing super stood out to me about it really. I think it feels like it was a 3. I didn't actually look at my rating for it, but it feels like it must have been a 3. It was just like good. It was fine. I've heard about this one before. I picked this one up like a few days ago and then was just randomly watching a YouTube video where somebody was this book was catching strays a little bit, but I think it'll be interesting. It's about these girls who have all kind of been the final girl of their own violent tragedy. And one of them shows up dead. And the other one, I believe it's Sam, goes to Quincy and tries to get Quincy kind of involved in figuring out what happened to the other one of them that died and stuff. But, she sounds a little suspicious. So I think it sounds interesting. And yeah, I want to figure out if like Riley Sager's for me or if it's just kind of maybe an author that I just don't super need to engage with. Also, this little free library there were a bunch of bookmarks in them. A lot of them are like cat themed, but I grabbed this one, which is a sour gummy worm. I've seen these a bunch on Pinterest. I was gonna make my own. Sour gummy worms are my favorite candy, so I had to search through there for a pink and blue one, but I'm very excited about the bookmark too, honestly. It's so cool when the little free libraries have like extra stuff. A few of them today had like little crocheted guys, or a lot of them have like dog treats and stuff. I think that stuff's really cute. And then today is, I went way further east than I normally do. Honestly, I went to a bookstore to go pick up. I wanted to get Wolfworm. I've been reading a lot of T. Kingfisher recently. This book just came out, and I wanted to go buy it from a different bookstore than, like, Barnes & Noble, because I knew it was going to be $30 either way, which is too expensive, but I really wanted this book. So this one I bought, but, while I was over further east than I normally go, I was like, I'll go to a bunch of little free libraries over there. And I found 2 books over there. Tomorrow, and that is by Gabrielle Zevin. This one I've heard a lot about, particularly like Kayla from, I'll put her channel, but she's like a super big YouTuber I watch a bunch. I know she loves this book, and I've heard her talk about it a lot in a bunch of her videos. And it's about a couple of people who come together and they create this video game together. What really stood out to me about the synopsis is it had a part where it talks about how their own creative ambitions are kind of tearing them apart, or it's an obstacle for them. I think that kind of stuff is really interesting for me. I think it's part of the reason why I like a lot of sports books, is because I think it's really interesting when books when somebody's own ambition or their own drive to do one thing, or like obsession with what they're good at or what they love is it's a good thing, but it also is the thing that is an obstacle to them and is an obstacle to their relationships, and it can go too far, and it's about kind of like finding balance in that. I think those are really interesting, or maybe even not finding balance in that. Maybe it ruins them in the end, you know? I think those are really interesting stories, so that's kind of what led me to definitely want to get this one. The last one is Book of Night by Holly Black. I went back and forth on this one. I was literally like standing there reading the Goodreads reviews, and the Goodreads reviews weren't making me feel super good about it. They said some stuff about the, you know, kind of being a slower book, but I thought the premise of the book is there are magicians who can manipulate shadows to peer into locked rooms, strangle people in their beds, or worse. And then it's about a bunch of these magicians. I love a book about, I don't know, I don't know if it's set in, like, the real world or something. When I read it, I was getting a vibe like The Magicians by Lev Grossman, which is right here. Not too much like that, but in a way that it's like a bunch of magicians who are friends who I thought they were set in the real world, but maybe they're not. What put me over the edge in getting this is the shadow thing. I love Peter and the Starcatchers, which is a book that's also down here. Peter and the Shadow Thieves. This is one of my favorite books growing up, and the bad guy in this is a guy who can control people with their shadows and stuff. And I always thought that was a super cool idea. I was super scared of that bad guy when I was a kid. So maybe that's what it made me think of that at least. So I'm gonna give this a try. I think I'm gonna give myself a lot of leeway to DNF this if I'm getting bored with it, but thought it sounded interesting. And those are all the books I got. In case you forgot, it's been a while. The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman is the other book that I got from the Little Free Library. Yeah, I got rid of everything I wanted to. I got a bunch of new books I'm excited about. Definitely use your little free libraries in your own community. It's a good excuse to, like, walk around. The weather was so nice today. I had a nice coffee. I walked around to a bunch of little free libraries. It's a good way to put books back into your community, and also get something for yourself. You can find some good stuff, clearly, and in good condition. Like, none of these are all, like, in perfectly fine condition, so. Have you gone to any little free libraries lately? What have you found? Do you have your own little free library? If so, that's very cool. I would love to do that someday. Yeah, let me know what you think about the books I picked up also in the comments below without spoiling them, but, yeah. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!